LCBN television broadcasts 24/7 on UK Freeview Channel 271, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, Apple TV, Google TV, See Love World, LCBNTV.com, LifeComTV.com.
My name is Lydia Khalil. Welcome to another edition of Conversations with Lydia. Today I've got two ladies who have a talk show on a Nigerian radio station. I've actually been on that show itself twice with them. So we're going to welcome them today. They're going to talk about why they felt it was necessary to have that kind of conversation on that particular platform. Please join me as I welcome Emily and Georgina.
Hi.
Hi, ladies. Thank you for joining me today. I know I sort of
thank you for having us.
I asked for one thing, now I got you guys to do two things, but I know I understand that you're quite busy and moms as well. So actually, I'm going to leave you to talk about yourselves. I usually sort of read a little bio, but I think it would be easier if you guys did it. So Emily, do you want to go first? Do you want to talk a bit about you, what you do?
Yes. Yes.
Go on.
Hi, everyone. My name is Emily Akanimo. I'm an HR professional as well as a business owner. I own an e-commerce online business and very, very passionate about humanity and sharing my skills and experiences with the community in regards to mental health, wellness, and well-being. So I'm a mother to a very handsome young man.
Of course, we have to plug our own. Are you looking for daughters-in-law? Okay, we go to Georgina. Are you done, Emily? Sorry, I sort of jumped in on that.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
My name is Georgina Simmons. I am an author and editor. I also have my own publishing company called Joba Limited, which I started during the lockdown. I currently have 4 titles under that company. My most recent one being Papa and Nancy and his spectacular spider stories. So if you're looking for something for Christmas treat for your 4+-year-old, please check out Amazon. I'm on there. I am a mother as well to twin boys. Like Emily, I'm very concerned with kind of changing the world, changing the optics, the way we see things, and hopefully opening up new avenues for people, especially in the creative arts. I think there's not enough representation of Black authors within children's literature. So that's something that I'd like to change.
Okay, great. 2 very busy ladies. And you've actually found time to add to your feathers or your big bouquet of things you do. Radio talk show, is that a good enough description? Okay.
Yes.
So who wants to talk about it first?
Yeah.
Go on, then I'll let you start.
Yeah. I've always wanted to do a podcast. Just to kind of share experiences so that others that are going through what I went through can get comfort or get help, just to let them know that they're not by themselves and they're not alone. Funny enough, I used to work with Georgina, and I worked with Georgina for about 3 years, and that's how we met. I've always talked about, I want to do this, I want to do that. Because I worked in a creative industry, I worked in the publishing industry for about 15 years. So I understood that kind of media element, magazines. I wanted to do a magazine like Oprah. So I've always had this passion just to put things out there. And so, I mean, because I've got loads of friends, my contact list is this high. And one of my friends had on his status, oh, there's a new radio station. I'm like, I've always wanted to do something media, creative. So I approached him and I said, oh, I would love to come on your show and talk about kind of, real life issues, be it mental health or anything, to do with being a human being. And he said, yeah, why not? So I said to Georgina, guess what? So I was really excited. I said, guess what? Would you like to go on the radio? Remember I talked to you about, doing a podcast, but this could be a start. And she's like, yeah, okay, we've got to think of a name. And actually Georgina's boys thought of the names as well. Yeah. And so we came up with the Gemzz, which is Georgina and M's show. Okay. So when we tried to check online about the names, we couldn't use the GEMS. And Georgina said, why don't you just put Z at the end? So that's how we came up with the name, the Gemzz Lifestyle Show. And I approached my friend again. I said, right, okay, I've got one of my friends, she's very keen on doing the same thing. We're going to come up with kind of a letter where somebody writes in every week, and we are like agony ants, to try and kind of, handle the story and give advice and bring guests on to give their own advice as well. And the guy really, he was really excited about it. And so Georgina was like, Georgina being an author and a writer and editor as well, she's responsible for all the editing and everything else. And and that's how we started. Georgina, I mean, we've had fun, haven't we?
We have. It's definitely been a journey.
Yeah. So the two of you are a type of agony answer. I can bring my and the radio station. Do you want to talk about the name and who the audience is? Who the audience is for? Georgina, do you want to do that bit?
Waiting Day Radio is a station that is very community based, but it has a global reach. So a lot of the shows that are on there are done by kind of local people, but they have guests from like all over the world. Its audience reaches out to, Nigeria, Africa, America, Europe, Canada. So it's the owners of it, they're very keen to have a station which represents us in terms of kind of, our lifestyles, how we're living, issues we deal with on a day-to-day basis. And of course, fantastic music. So
yes. So I know it's called Waiting Day, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So can you literally translate that?
Emily, this is your music. Message in English is very limited. I'm sorry.
It's like what's happening?
Okay. Yeah.
In Nigeria. Anyway, Nigerian jollof is better than Ghanaian jollof anyway.
I will not start again.
So it's like what's happening in English. So Waiting Day is like a kind of a pidgin English in Nigeria.
Okay, so it's like what's up?
What's up? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what's up? What's happening?
Yes.
What's going down?
Yeah.
So are you the only sort of talk show on air on that channel? So it's mainly music. What does it offer? Because I mean, part of it I think feeds into this I know we've had a lot of campaign about Lives Matters, but I think what's really important now is about this Black economy and how we use our money and how we are actually represented in society. So we're taking some kind of ownership, so if I want to see people who look like me, then I make a space where it's available for us. Yeah. So I think that's anyway, maybe what I when I look at those kind of businesses or new things, or even the channel that we're on now, it's actually us taking our place in society now and owning the space, as opposed to when it was sort of dictated by the majority. So now the minority is actually standing up and being counted. So is it only okay, I went off on a bit of a rhetoric.
No, it's okay. And I think the lockdown got a lot of people thinking as well, and trying to kind of reevaluate and assess and regroup where they are. I mean, my business, I thought about it in lockdown and back in March. And I've always wanted to get into business. And I thought about, we're getting, everybody's indoors, treat yourself to something. So I came up with the name athometreats.com. And I think it's the same thing when you think about, what people are doing now in regards to the radio station. It's quite funny because my friend had like a travel company, Waiting Day Travel. So as soon as, COVID started and, it was affecting the travel industry, he had to quickly rejig and regroup and think about something else. And I think that's why he came up with the radio station. And I know other DJs as well that are doing the same thing. And it's really good to be able to also support, other Black businesses. And we need to, because we've got a big, I think a massive spending power, as a community, and it was it was quite a kind of an eye opener to think, what, I've been wanting to get into business for a long time. And knowing that e-commerce is the way forward, I mean, for example, I'm not even going to mention the name of the company online, that every time you want to order something, you go online and click and order. So everybody's going online now to do things. And who would have thought that, now, we're doing meetings on Zoom, we're doing meetings on Google Meet, we're doing meetings on Teams. So as human beings, I think we've actually adjusted to the new normal, as a lot of people say, the new way of thinking, the new way of working as well. That's how I know the radio station came about.
I think what has happened, and I keep asking people to actually look about the good things that COVID has brought into our lives, which is us actually having to reinvent ourselves in some cases. And it has actually triggered people's dreams. It's either I do my dream now or never, because life actually showed us that it was very transient, as opposed to when we could procrastinate and say, I'll do it in 10 years or 5 years. I think it sort of woke a lot of us up into like, I have to seize the moment. I have to do it now, because there might never be another time. So, and people have had to reinvent, like he did with the business. You've come up with, a different business concept, and it's sort of got people thinking about what they could do differently. And it's all gone back to this place of the mind, where we were locked down physically, but our minds seem to have made quite a lot of good adjustments for some people. So
that's true.
Georgina, do you want to talk about, your books and writing, and what, how COVID has affected it, or you, or actually what, people actually would be sitting and thinking, oh, perhaps I've got a book in me. And, we've had a lot of time on our hands to think about our dreams, stuff like that. Just a little bit of a background. Then we'll go back into agony aunting.
So yeah, I started writing the children's series. Josie Taylor started in about 2017, and
So
I was
Josie Taylor is your writing name, yeah?
so no. I write under my own name. But Josie
Okay,
Taylor is
but
the
that's
children's
the title
series.
of the.
That's the
Okay,
title
okay,
of the series. Yeah, so
okay.
it's the Chronicles of Josie Taylor. And she started as a character that I in 2017, and I would kind of on my commute on the way to work, just write up little notes and things, and the book started to form itself, but I never had time. I didn't have time to sit down and actually put it into proper book format. I did my master's in creative writing in English. So I was kind of making tiny steps towards having more of a writing career, because that's always been my dream, to be a published author. Um, and then COVID happened. Well, actually, prior to that, I was working for a company, and unfortunately, start of January, I didn't continue with them. And at the time, and then with COVID, I thought my whole world was coming down because I didn't have a job. And I come from the era of you work hard in somebody else's company, do well in somebody else's company, and they will promote you
Yeah.
and basically validate you by
Yeah.
putting you in a higher position. So I've always kind of had that mind frame. And then COVID happened, and suddenly I found myself by myself thinking, what can I do? I need to provide for my family. Let's get these books published. And so that's how it kind of, I made the time to do it, or God gave me the time to do it. And I'm hoping at some point I will able to look back and think that was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I know for a lot of people as well, they say there's a story inside all of us, write it down, read it out to somebody. If it's just a matter of honing your technique, you can do online courses now, very short kind of editorial courses that will talk about, being able to write narrative and things like that, give you the right tools. But storytelling is something that we did orally, beforehand, before we were given the equipment to write it down. And for a long time now, our stories have always been told by somebody else. And that's why, for me, it's important, especially with children's literature, to make that space for other people to now come in and be able to do the same thing.
Okay, so these are your stories. You're not repeating stories you had when you were younger, for example, because I know, grandparents, even my, children remember, oh, grandpa, grandma used to tell us this story. So these are actually created from your own imagination, yeah?
So the Chronicles of Josie Taylor, which is a fantasy adventure story, is purely my work. I created that myself. Papa and Nancy and his spectacular spider stories are old Papa and Nancy stories that I've reworked, old African fables that I've reworked, and it has an original introduction from me and an original Nancy the Spider story from me.
But it's a collective. It's a collection.
It's a collective. Yes.
Okay, so that sounds really interesting, actually.
Yes.
Yes.
It's amazing. Get a copy for all your nephews and nieces and grandkids.
All we used to hear stories like how the turtle got all the bits on his back. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
I would probably have to buy that and give it out this Christmas.
Fantastic.
Okay. Great. So this agony auntie thing you people do like how so you get these letters weekly, yeah, and okay, maybe read out an example of a letter, because I know, because I've been on the program. So an example of a letter you would get, because Emily said something like part of the motivation to do the program was because we wanted somebody else, it didn't matter, one or two people, to know that actually they're not alone. So life might be tough, but there is somebody else who is in something similar they can identify, and then in the conversations something might resonate, something might open up their eyes to hearing a solution. I think That's what. But I
Yes.
actually I
Yeah.
like your logo, so you're going to read it out for me. It says real
Uh,
stories. Uh-huh.
real issues, real talk, real lives.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
see, I read up. Eh? Yeah, I
You
think
did
that.
your homework.
Yes, I did. I think that's actually what, like what when I was looking at it, that's what resonated with me.
Mm,
Yeah.
Mm.
The fact that okay, this is real life. This is
mm,
not
Mhm.
um this is not, sometimes we all sort of dress up
Yes.
the problems. Yeah.
mm,
Yes.
So
Yes.
anybody
Yeah.
looking at anybody else would just think, you know what, I want to be that person. Sometimes people will say,
Mhm.
oh, I want to be like you when I grow up. I'm like, can you
Mhm.
drink from
Mhm.
my cup?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So when we're all dressed up, everything looks okay. But I
Mhm.
like the fact that you said there are real issues,
Yes.
real people, real lives. So people
Mhm.
are grappling with these issues, and we're going to have really honest conversations
Conversation. Yeah.
around
Yeah.
these really real issues. So
Yeah.
give me an example of what you tackle on your on what these two agony ants. We expect you to look genuine and have some like real life stories on your face, but the two of you look okay. So give us
Yeah.
a
I
bit
mean,
of what you drink so we all can join you.
yeah. I mean, the last show we had was about bereavement, and I know that every single one of us have been through that kind of experience, losing someone, maybe not close, but friends.
Mhm.
And the last show kind of resonates with me as well because one of my friends, she lost a child,
Okay. Do you
at
want to
birth.
give us like a backdrop of the story so that people watching would know what we're
Yes.
talking about? Not the you don't have to give me the whole scenario, just
Yeah.
basic.
Yeah. Georgina, do you have the letter?
I don't, but just very briefly, it was a young man who had been he was married, and him and his wife had longed to kind of start a family. And when they did the first pregnancy, after a couple of years, she fell pregnant. This first pregnancy unfortunately ended in tragedy. She became very ill during the pregnancy. Her life was saved, but the baby's wasn't. And what ultimately came from that, where she was given the space to grieve and was given the comfort through friends and family to be able to express her grief and depression, he felt that he couldn't. He felt that as a man, um, he had to kind of just take it on the chin, stand up, don't cry, just keep going. So what happened was he was bottling all this emotion, and even the men around him couldn't facilitate the grief process. They didn't understand how to support him. But he was in such a desperate situation, especially with his wife, because they were no longer, kind of sharing their marital space together. He reached out and said, I don't want this to get any worse than what it is. Please help me with the process. So,
Okay, so
Yeah. And
he
I think, yeah.
go on.
Yeah, and I think from that, I just think that when it comes to trauma, especially in a marriage, and when kind of a woman loses a child, the whole focus is on the woman, and I
Mhm,
think the man just tend to get forgotten and left to the side. And I wanted to tackle that it's not just women that goes through depression or anxiety or any of the mental health issues.
mhm,
Men do grieve as well. So why
mhm,
don't we just tackle that and be able to support our
mhm,
men and just to let them know we're thinking about you. If you're going through anything, please talk about it.
mhm,
And we also know that men sometimes, they don't like expressing their feelings, their emotions.
mhm,
So it was a trigger of knowing that, yes, we're all human beings. Just because you're a man doesn't mean, yeah, you're there to support and, kind of look after the family, but you can also express your feelings.
Okay.
So that's where that came from. And when you flip it, I did experience that with one of my friends who lost a baby, and all our focus as friends was on her. And we're just, kind of looking at the guy, it's your fault kind of thing. But it wasn't his fault. It was just something that happens. It's a natural process that happens to a lot of women out there. And we wanted to tackle that rather than just concentrate on women all the time, having the mental health problems. Why don't we, give the space to our men as well to express their themselves?
Yeah, I think because I think I was having this conversation with a young man, and he was saying actually we somehow impute this strength to men. And we have this expectation that they don't feel the things that we feel, or even sometimes are not allowed, because we're now expecting them to man up or to carry it or to just absorb it somehow. While, of course, especially when it comes to something like pregnancy, we feel the mother is so connected with the baby and the dad is just standing by. But I think what it drew from that story was that the way it impacted him, it was on its way to end the marriage, because he had he hadn't been given any space or any permission to voice the pain and to grieve, So do you feel that it's actually that's important for us to do for the men, Georgina? Do you feel that's that way we're balancing out? Because as women, we're expected to cry. Yeah. We're expected to be depressed. We're expected to have hysterics. We're expected to scream. These are things that we're given free permission to do. Yeah. So if I burst out crying in Sainsbury's now, nobody's going to think. They're just going to think, "Oh, there. That's what women do." So,
no, I completely agree with you. It's really, really important, because as much as women, we are very strong, and we stand in a strength that is a grace. We our men at times, I think, can be pushed to the side. I think sometimes there's more of a, like you were saying, there's this rhetoric that ends up kind of pushing women forward, and I think what we're seeing a lot now is men being pulled back. As a mother of two boys, I don't want this kind of campaign of this kind of just maybe pushing men to the side to continue for too long in society, because they are also holding on to a lot emotionally and mentally. And our young boys, when we see them do certain things, when we see them become overly aggressive, for lack of a better term, if we see them kind of turning to the wrong fraternal groups, i.e. gangs, etc., it's because we're not giving them another avenue to go down. I think that we need to allow our men to stand and be able to say, I need the help as well, without making them feel as if they have somehow been emasculated because of it. I think a lot of things like breakdown in family, breakdown in communication, in marriage, is often because men are given this idea that they have to be a certain way, but lately we're not even really supporting that way that we say they're supposed to be. So we need more conversations now, because as much as we are very strong, and we women have power in society and in the world. Let's not completely get rid of our partners, and that's who men are, regardless of whatever it is. My son will one day be somebody's husband. He's going to be someone's partner. He needs to be equipped to be able to manage that relationship, not carrying wounds from his childhood that he could never express.
And I think men and women, expressed differently. So if a man is traumatized, it will get probably more internalized, and then it comes out as anger, which is what you're saying.
Yeah.
But somehow they're excused for being angry. Yeah. So it becomes actually a plausible emotion. Oh, he's just angry. He's just short-tempered. That's how he gets angry. He just blows his fuse, and then he'll settle down. Yeah. But I think what Georgina is saying is pertinent, because if we deal with it when it's something small, then we don't have a lot of angry men when they grow up, and then when they're actually in situations that is deeply emotional, they're not carrying the bag from last time, and then they actually become, or not men particularly, but all of us become overwhelmed by this emotions we're carrying, because we have the old one, we have the new one. We haven't actually been told that we can recover from that old one, so this new one just compounds whatever we're feeling before. Now I'm sounding like I'm in a counseling session.
It's great stuff and it's free. Yay!
Yeah.
But I think what going back to the ethos of your program, so it was a way of reaching out to people, whether they were male or female. It was like every time you bring a story, there is something about it that will resonate. It may not be exactly the same, but there will be something that will resonate. So how do you feel? How do you get your message across? How do you do it in the program? How do you get your message across?
I think what we tend to do is try and get professionals to come on and share their views. I mean, for example, the next show we're having is about interracial relationships, and I've experienced that. And one of my nieces, she's married to a white guy, and she's experienced lots of racism and abuse. And the funny thing is, it's not even from the white folks. It's from
us.
Yes. And so I'm really looking forward to that show. And I hope your audience are going to join us Wednesday at 7 p.m. on waitingthereradio.co.uk, the Gemzz Lifestyle Show. And, the things we talk about is, as she said, is real life. It's stuff that I have experienced personally, and that my friends and family have experienced as well. And I'm sure Georgina will echo that. And we just want people to know that you are not alone. We hear you. We see you. There's help out there. Get on Google, type in, mental health issues or anxiety, and lots of information will come through for you to be able to go and get help. And I think because people just kind of suffer in silence, and I don't want that to happen anymore. And I'm very, very passionate about that. And experience in the workplace as well, which Georgina and I, we've had so many conversations about. And I think because of our faith, I keep saying this every single time, if it wasn't for my faith, I don't know where I would be, especially with the abuse and everything else I've had in the past, where people have called you names and they've been very unreasonable in the workplace. And, Georgina will look at me and be like, come, let's go and have a conversation. And we talk about it.
Give us an example, because that helps people, because loads of people have been in that space. Even if we sort of, we'll talk about the mixed marriages a bit later, because it's something that actually I'm really interested in, and I'm going to do a program on it, because two people sort of get together, they know it will be difficult, but they think actually that love will overcome a lot of barriers. But I think it's only when they get into it, they realize they're really in for a fight, you know, because like even if your family is cool about it, like there's the food, the culture, the greeting, and then when you go out, you know, even sometimes I see couples in, you know, mixed marriages, and sometimes they can't even look at black people in the face. Have you experienced that? They sort of like want to dodge you in the front, and I'm thinking, oh no, don't worry about it. You get a child like mine, so I'm cool with you guys. But it's like it's so ingrained that they can't tell the enemy from the friend anymore. And you could almost see a wave of guilt come over this person. Because they've chosen to step out of their race. I'm thinking, like,
mine is even like my son's dad is mixed race, and you know, mixed Nigerian Scottish. And as we said, I wasn't getting the abuse from, you know, the white people. It was I'm like, what's your problem? You know. And I mean, I remember one day we came to London, and we went to the Notting Hill Carnival, and they've got the Nigerian corner. And, you know, I was really, you know, proud, you know, hi, this is my partner. And one of the girls kind of looked at me and she was giggling. She's like, oh, is that Emily's? I was like, yes, what's your problem? You know, and it just makes me feel so like sad that why would you want to judge my relationship? You don't know the kind of
based
relationship
on color.
Based on color. Just because it's mixed race and he's got dreads, what's that got to do with it?
Okay, so because I was going to ask if he's white passing, because when people are like look like white, like sometimes people are confused. Sometimes when they look at me and they're thinking, but you know, when people are like white passing, or I know people who've known me for years and years, and they still will call me Oyinbo.
Oyinbo.
Really?
Yes.
But when I challenge them, they're like, no, it's just, you know, it's just a joke. You must be. Like, come on, people, this is 2020. Like, get a, you know, think about something. So that's to show you how deep, how deep it is.
I've experienced that myself. And I mean, my dad, may his soul rest in peace, is very, very, very light. You would think he's mixed race, but I remember one particular situation when I was about 5, 6. I went out to play. That was in Lagos, and because I was lighter than the other kids, they were calling me names, or Ibo, you know, they were making fun of me. And to me, as a child, I was very hurt. So I ran back to my mom. I said, "Oh, you wouldn't guess what?" I started crying, and she's like, don't be silly, just go back outside and play. And I still think about it today. I still think about it today. And I remember one particular occasion as well when I was in Edinburgh, one of my friends, and she just kept saying, oh, Emily, look at you, you know, I wish I was your color. And I'm like, what do you mean? You know, so, look at you, you know, you're lighter than me. And I'm like, you know, I can't really fathom that, because I don't even think about my skin color. And it'll be quite interesting to hear the show on Wednesday. On Wednesday.
I will listen. I will listen in on Wednesday intently.
Okay.
So Georgina, you want? I think you were like a little bit aghast when I said people look at me and still call me. I think it's a term of endearment, to honestly, like, so. And of course, even that is one thing. But even when we West Indian marries an African, even across from a Nigerian marrying a Kenyan, or a Ghanaian marrying, you know, a Cameroonian, there's always some kind of like conflict. And I'm thinking, if we can't get it together, like, what's going to happen? So with this sort of real life, real talk, real issues, what are you planning? What's the plan for the future?
So we want to kind of tap into more organizations. we want to definitely build on that, the Black Pound and that e-commerce, as you and Emily discussed before, and start channeling an income that will allow us to engage in more well-being projects for like the community as well.
Yeah.
We want to highlight Black businesses on the show, and I guess, I don't know, maybe television. And what do you think?
Of course. All the way. BBC. BBC, ITV Channel 4.
LBC.
Yes, LCBN, please.
Yes. And I think
Black
also,
owned.
and I think also, just to echo what Georgina said, I want to be able to reach out to those young girls out there, just for them to know that, you know what, I'm like you. I understand, I appreciate what you're going through, but there's other ways rather than you being, maybe in a gang, or, trying to, prove to your friends that you can do X, Y, Z, so that they can see somebody else that looks like them on the radio, and also eventually on TV. And I think that's very, very important as well. And for our young boys, to be able to do their own thing, something, just positive. And, because we're both Christians as well, we can actually kind of reach out and just to let them know, just because you're a Christian doesn't mean you can't come on a radio show. Just because a lot of things that, just because you're a Christian, you can't do X, Y, Z. And I want them to understand and realize that, yes, they can do what, their best to get to where they want to be. And the other thing I wanted to share was, I coach young people when it comes to CV writing, career development. And because I can see it as an HR professional as well, I've seen young people come through interviews and CVs, and I just feel so sorry for them, because I couldn't take them on, but I would take time and speak to them on the phone and just say, you know what, I did not pick you, to come and have an interview because of. And they always appreciate that positive feedback that I give them. And I always say to them, if you want to call me back, I'm more than happy to talk you through on how to put your CV together. So it's very important to kind of, let people know, especially young people and young African Caribbean kids out there, to know that, yes, they can be whatever they want to be. They can come on a TV show and talk about real life experiences, and be able to share what they've gone through, and have also advice and help out there to get them through what any type of situation.
Okay, I think you just preempted my next question, which was going to talk about actually the wealth of experience both of you have in the corporate world, and how actually it is a struggle for young people to to get through the doors. And even when they do get through the doors, it's also a struggle to climb that ladder. And I think I've been on one of your seminars where you were talking about how to write CVs and present better. So we have the skills. So and of course how you've managed all the sort of racism, all of that, I think is really important in mentoring the generation that are coming, because they will still come up against all of this, no matter how educated they are, no matter how well spoken they are, no matter whether they're wearing jeans or they're wearing a suit. I think because of this unconscious bias that is so entrenched in the system, which I think Brexit really heightened. It showed that really we had come a long way, but we really hadn't, because of the amount of sort of backlash we got, a lot of nationalism coming out. So yes, so will you tell us how to reach you? We'll do the radio plug at the end. So if you want to talk about, I know Gina talked about her books. Emily, if you want to sort of talk about your email, LinkedIn, whatever it is. So whatever anybody has picked up, if they want to talk about something or want you to talk about something on your show,
Yeah.
if they want CV advice, if they want book writing advice, if they want to know how to create that bestseller.
Yeah.
Who's going to go first?
Over to you, Georgina.
Okay. So if you want to write into the Gemzz show, you can send us a DM, glsradioshow on Instagram. Or if you want to write in a letter, you can also send it to info@waitingdayradio.co.uk. For editorial and writing tips, you can write into my own personal email, which is georgina_simmons@yahoo.com. And don't forget to check out Josie Taylor on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter if you want to see what's happening in that magical realm.
Okay.
That's
Emily?
it.
Yes. If you want any advice and help, assistance in regards to CV writing and career development, please write to me at emilybsc@gmail.com. And if you're looking for a nice Christmas gift this year, go on to @hometreats.com. And also remember to log into waitingdayradio.co.uk on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. with myself and Georgina on the Gemzz Lifestyle Show.
Okay, ladies. Thank you so much. I think we touched on so many different areas today. So I'm sure anybody who's watching will have picked up something to think about. So thank you for your time. And I'm sure you guys will be back.
Yeah, I would love to.
All right. So enjoy Christmas.
Definitely.
Enjoy Christmas. And I'm not sure people will be writing any big plans for 2021 yet. We'll just need to drive. This will be a year that we're leaving him to drive, be the driver. Thank you again, and I will see you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Hey.
Another interesting conversation with two very gifted ladies. Thank you for watching. My name is Lydia Khalil, and I will see you next week.
LCBN television broadcasts 24/7 on UK Freeview Channel 271, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, Apple TV, Google TV, See Love World, LCBNTV.com, LifecomTV.com.